modern weapons used in sports underwater shooting and hunting work on the basis of the single charging principle. That is, the shooter can only perform a single shot, after which they shall recharge the weapon on their own, without using pumps, levers, and pyrotechnics. Pavel Antonov will help us tell about modern examples of underwater rifles in detail. Pavel Antonov, master of sports and underwater shooting, champion of Russia in sports underwater shooting, head coach of the Russian team for underwater shooting and hunting.
Underwater weapons are not classified as weapons or products similar to weapons. They are a kind of sports equipment.
Let's start with this one. What's this?
This is a pneumatic underwater rifle.
Okay.
Manufactured in Russia, by the way.
Speargun Stalker underwater pneumatic rifle. Designed both for beginners and professional sportsmen. The resource of the bore is intended for lifelong use. It is very light and fairly simple at first sight.
This is why people make a mistake.
Yeah,
They perceive it like a toy or a simple piece of sports equipment.
well, show me how to charge it. How do I take out
Here,
cartridges, or what do you call that, a spear?
damage agent is harpoon.
Harpoons with various types of pikes are used as a damaging agent in underwater rifle. A harpoon is a long rod made of stainless metal with a diameter of up to 8 millimeters and a weight of 250 to 700 grams, which is attached to the rifle itself with the help of the so-called harpoon line. It is a cable several meters long which keeps the catch from swimming away with the harpoon. The harpoon also often contains a small metal hook, which opens after hitting the fish, preventing it from sliding off. Show me how you charge and discharge it. And of course, safety measures.
Okay, the first thing, we're checking whether it is locked, whether the anti-firing mechanism is on.
With a movement like this,
Well, you can easily charge this rifle with your hands.
if a weapon is underwater, can you use it to shoot ashore?
Safety rules prohibit it.
Okay,
All instructions and manuals always say, do not shoot ashore. To be precise, it is strictly forbidden because underwater weapons are designed for underwater use.
violation of the safety rules can endanger the life of the shooter and the lives of the people standing nearby.
We should specify here that shooting an underwater rifle ashore is a critical risk for the shooter. It cannot be done under any conditions.
This is pneumatics. What are some other types of weapons? Underwater weapons.
Well, the most popular type in the world. You see, the trick is that in Russia, most people use pneumatics. In the rest of the world, people prefer to work with the so-called underwater arbalest.
Why? Is that the specifics of our lakes?
Yeah,
Omer Cayman arbalest underwater rifle. The barrel of the rifle is made of aluminum and equipped with two guides, one of which allows stabilizing the harpoon during stabilization, and the other changing the rifle power quickly. This one's more interesting. This is why there are more additional structures that I don't know anything about yet.
well, in fact, it is even simpler.
What appeared here, and what's the simplicity?
We will pull the so-called rubber rod here.
Rubber rod.
Right, here it is.
And before, it was fastened in the safe zone, right?
Right, it was in the transport position. That's it.
How do I hold it?
I was just going to say that you can't hold it so close to your eye.
I can't.
The recoil from this rifle is very strong.
How, then? Show it.
Here, you must hold it on an activated radiocarpal mechanism and with a stretched hand.
Ah, like this.
Yeah.
You know, Pavel, no offense, but to be honest, I don't really believe that this weapon has a great damaging capacity. We could compare it, for example, to the Makarov pistol.
Yeah.
We took several packs of ordinary office paper and put them together, and now we're going to shoot at this multi-layered target from a Makarov pistol and 2 underwater rifles, pneumatic and arbalist type. The bullet from the Makarov pistol easily penetrates paper, but fails to go through all 3 packs. According to the safety rules, I suggest we do it from behind our armored door. Due to the destructive power of the pneumatic rifle, we're going to shoot from behind the armored door. We'll take the fastening line from the harpoon in advance. Even considering these precautions, we strongly advise you not to repeat such experiments on your own. They're dangerous for life.
It is strictly forbidden to repeat this. We've allowed ourselves to perform these experiments, realizing the danger of this situation. We were ready for it and ensured the safety of cameraman and the participants of the event.
In slow motion, we can see the harpoon from the pneumatic underwater rifle penetrate the paper. But the protruding metal hook keeps it from entering it deep enough. This is why we're going to shoot with the harpoon, the hook on which is located farther from the tip. The harpoon from the arbalist easily penetrates the paper for quite a great depth. However, the protruding hook hinders movement of the arrow into the target. I think that the gun is much cooler. You probably think that the harpoon is cooler.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look. Here we have a bullet hole and 2 harpoon holes.
2 harpoon holes.
Let us open our catalog. Here, come on.
The bullet comes out.
Oh well, I've lost our argument. We found the bullet. We found the bullet. Here it is. Let us show it to the camera.
Let's read.
Let's read this book. All right. Well, look, this harpoon. It's stuck. Yeah, done. And this one is still alive. Here it is, the bullet. Let's get it out.
Right.
Here it is, right here. A real shooting bullet.
All right.
So what's the conclusion, Pavel?
The kinetic energy of the harpoon is higher than the kinetic energy of a firearm bullet. We've made sure that the misconception about an underwater rifle being a harmless toy is very dangerous. You should be very careful with an underwater weapon. Perhaps even more so than with a firearm.
Let's shoot some other targets now, shall we? We have ballistic gel, and we're inviting our next guest for that. Anna Kamenshikova, Master of Sports in Underwater Shooting, Champion of Europe in Underwater Sports Shooting. For our experiment, we took a cube of ballistic gel, imitating living tissue. Now we're going to shoot it from our underwater rifles. We remind you once more that shooting from underwater weapons ashore is strictly forbidden. At the beginning of the show, we shot from behind an armored door. However, since the rifles behaved in a stable manner, we decided to abandon additional protection. Pavel, Anna, we're ready to shoot. Pavel, let's start with you.
Charging.
Wow. The harpoon from the arbalist easily penetrates the ballistic gel and passes through it.
Nice shot.
Nice shot, yeah. Anna, I suggest you show us the masterclass.
I'm going to shoot.
I'm going to give you a gun, a pneumatic one. The harpoon from the underwater pneumatic rifle hits the right top corner of the cube and goes through it, dragging the ballistic gel cube along with its kinetic power. Wow, this is a professional. That was beautiful. Anna, my congratulations. High five. That's the way, Pavel. Now let's make the task more complex. We'll put a centimeter-thick piece of rubber in front of the ballistic gel.
Charging. Attention.
Wow, nice shot. The harpoon from the pneumatic rifle pierces the centimeter of rubber and enters it by a quarter of its length, penetrating the ballistic gel cube. Now it's time for the arbalist. The harpoon from the arbalist goes through the thick rubber layer and penetrates the ballistic gel, but fails to go through the cube. Now let's shoot underwater. What do you say?
With great pleasure. It is much more pleasant and simpler. I don't think that the picture will change dramatically under the water, although the environment density will be 800 times higher than the air density. The rifles will operate in a standard mode.
We've tested underwater weapons in Caliber Shooting Complex. Now it's time to find out how it will behave in its natural environment. TV underwater. How far is the crew of Man-in-Arms ready to go to film underwater shooting? How to aim correctly and hit the target. We're telling the secrets of sports underwater shooting.
The shooter arms the weapon on the surface of the water, charges it.
Can a first-timer who has never shot underwater cope with an underwater rifle?
There are different kinds of exercises. If it is the precision exercise, the sportsman has to perform 10 shots.
All this and much more right now on the unique show, Man-in-Arms. 50 kilowatts of light, 2 months of preparation, and over 30 people on the set. And all of this is just for the chance to shoot underwater. The crew faced a task that seemed almost impossible. We needed not just to film underwater shooting, but do it using a high-speed camera, which is very demanding for light. Moreover, the camera crew had to be placed as safe as possible in relation to the shooters and targets. No one has filmed anything of such difficulty for TV in Russia before us. Underwater weapons are actively used both in hunting and in underwater sports shooting. Underwater sports shooting includes a number of underwater sports disciplines. The competitions are held in a pool. The task of an athlete is to hold their breath and shoot the target from a certain distance. The precision, the accuracy of reaching the objective, and the speed of execution are rated.
The shooter arms the weapon on the surface of the water, charges it, dives into the water, reaches the firing point, prepares and performs the shot.
The shot is performed with one hand. The structure of the rifle is balanced in such a way that the shooter almost doesn't feel it underwater. At the same time, the athlete holds on to the special sucker attached to the bottom of the pool with his second hand, gets hung up in the water for a few seconds, and performs the shot. The water's density is 800 times higher than the air's density. At the same time, objects in water seem closer and about 30% bigger. An experienced shooter considers all these factors when aiming. But will I be able to hit the target? We decided to use 2 balloons filled with air as targets. Turns out that there is something like this in professional sports.
It is similar to a competitive exercise, bottle shooting. The bottles are installed underwater, and the sportsman must hit all of them.
On a command, Anna charges her rifle. Pay attention. It can only be done underwater. After that, she locks the gun, holds her breath, dives and swims to the firing point. A couple of seconds for aiming. The harpoon from the pneumatic rifle pierces both balls, and the air released moves to the surface of the water. You could watch this moment in slow motion forever. Now we're going to try and shoot at real targets for underwater shooting, the same way they do at international contests. The only difference is that instead of a series of rounds, Anna and I will only make one shot each.
There are different kinds of exercises. If it is the precision exercise, the sportsman has to perform 10 shots. If it is the biathlon exercise, the sportsman hits 5 targets, performs dives with his breath held from the starting line to the firing point, and comes back.
The technique of execution of the exercise is the same as for shooting the balloon target. Charge, dive, aim, and shoot. Pay attention to Anna's technique. All the movements are precise and accurate. It is my turn. The most difficult thing for a first-timer in underwater shooting is thinking simultaneously about shooting precision and the oxygen needed to stay underwater for a bit longer. I managed again and hit the target. But even after just 2 shots, I feel tired. And athletes dive underwater and shoot dozens of times during a single training session.
First of all, we train hypoxic endurance. We hold our breath and dive for quite a long distance and develop athletic speed qualities.
Nevertheless, regardless of the fact that my shooting technique is far from sportsmanlike and I could hardly see where I was aiming, I'm happy with the result. And the choice of a weapon for underwater shooting depends on what you're going to do. Practice in the pool or hunt in open bodies of water.
Generally, all rifles have shown good results today. As a sportswoman, I feel better with pneumatic weapons. First, it is easy to use and handle, and it shoots more accurately for me.
If you are going to hunt in inland waters of the Russian Federation, Kazakhstan, Belarus, or Ukraine, for example, it would be better to take a pneumatic weapon. Its efficiency is higher, and its size is smaller. If you are going to ocean hunt, then, of course, it's better to take an arbalest. The longer, the better.
Today, we've considered various types of underwater rifles, studied underwater sports shooting, and even tried to compete with the champion of Europe. Regardless of the fact that underwater shooting is a technically difficult kind of sport, we've learned that everyone can practice it if the desire is strong enough. You just have to know how to swim. What seemed just a toy to us appeared to be more dangerous than a combat pistol. Remember, proper handling of weapons starts not in your hand, but in your head. You've been watching Man in Arms. See you later.